Take the key. There is a passage behind the wardrobe. It runs beneath the east garden and opens beyond the outer wall. Do not argue with me, Kemi. The men outside that door are not coming to negotiate. They are coming to finish what they started 6 years ago. I have survived bullets, fire, surgeries, pain that made me wish they had killed me the first time. I survived every man who looked at this chair and decided I had become easier to betray. But I will not sit here and watch them hurt you because you refuse to be afraid of me. You should have left the first night I fired you. You should have left when they searched your room. You should have left when I accused you of bringing danger into this house. But you stayed. And now they know you are the one person I cannot afford to lose. So take the key. Leave through the passage. Do not come back for me.
His final words almost broke inside his throat. A tear gathered in Ji-hoon's eye as he looked at Kemi like a man saying goodbye to the only happiness he had found in 6 years. He was not afraid of dying. He was afraid that he had finally remembered how to live too late. Before we go back, decide whether you would have taken the key or stayed with him. But 18 days earlier, Kemi Adebayo had been nothing more than the 7th woman sent to care for a Mafia boss who had fired everyone before her. Her first shift lasted 9 minutes. Then Ji-hoon ordered her out of his room. Kemi refused to leave. The rain began before her car left Central Seoul and followed her into the hills, turning the winding road silver beneath the headlights. By the time the driver stopped outside the Kwon residence, the city had disappeared behind mist. Kemi stepped from the car with one suitcase, a black medical case, and no idea that someone inside the mansion had already been waiting for her arrival. The house looked less like a home than a fortress. Stone walls vanished into the trees. Cameras turned above the gates. Armed men searched beneath the car before allowing it through. Inside, there were no family photographs, no music. Even the staff spoke as though sound required permission. A tall Korean man with a scar running from his left temple to his jaw waited beneath the covered entrance. Ms. Adebayo? Yes. I am Lee Tae-ho, head of household security. His handshake was brief. The agency explained the position. They said Mr. Kwon needs a rehabilitation nurse for 6 weeks. They did not explain Mr. Kwon. That sounded intentional. Something almost resembling approval crossed Tae-ho's face. He led her through a security scanner and into an elevator that required both his fingerprint and a numbered key. As the doors closed, he handed her a slim tablet. His schedule, medication chart, emergency contacts, and house rules. The document contained 43 rules. No photographs. No private calls from the upper floor. No questions about the night Ji-hoon was injured. No contact with police, prosecutors, journalists, or members of the Kwon family without written permission. Kemi looked up. Whose permission? Attorney Seo Hye-rin. And if there is a medical emergency, you contact the physician listed on the tablet. What if he needs a hospital? You still contact the physician. Kemi closed the tablet. That is not how emergency medicine works. This is not a hospital. No. In a hospital, people usually admit when they are controlling the patient. Tae-ho watched her carefully. 6 professionals came before you. I was told 5. The agency was mistaken. Did they resign? Some did. Before taking her to the private floor, Tae-ho showed her a control room containing an analog line linked to an independent satellite. Ji-hoon's father built it because he trusted neither police radios nor public networks, he explained. If the digital system fails, this can transmit beyond the estate. You show every nurse? I show anyone who may become responsible for a life during an emergency. The elevator carried them upward. A woman in an ivory suit waited in the corridor. She appeared to be in her early 40s, with calm eyes and a silver crane pinned to her lapel. Kemi Adebayo, she said warmly. I am Seo Hye-rin, Mr. Kwon's attorney. Hye-rin took Kemi's hands. I am relieved you came. That makes one of us. Ji-hoon is difficult, but he is not cruel. Do not confuse his walls with the man inside them. You have spent years telling him that. 6. A phone vibrated inside Hae-rin's handbag. She glanced at the screen, and concern passed across her face before she silenced it. Everything all right? Kemi asked. My son's treatment center. Nothing they cannot handle. Then she lowered her voice. The other nurses allowed his anger to make them forget why they were here. When he tries to dismiss you, do not take it personally. When Ji-hoon fires everyone. And what am I supposed to do when he fires me? Call me before you leave. Hae-rin squeezed Kemi's hands reassuringly. I will help you handle him. Ji-hoon waited inside the study at the end of the corridor. He sat in a black-powered wheelchair beside a wide window, watching rain fall over the distant city. His right shoulder was supported by a discreet brace beneath his shirt. He did not greet Kemi when she entered. You were dismissed from St. Matthew's Trauma Center. Kemi placed her medical case beside the chair opposite him. I resigned. The hospital records use a different word. The hospital records were written by the man I reported. Ji-hoon finally raised his eyes. He was perhaps 39, with dark hair swept away from a scar near his temple. His face was controlled, his gaze sharpened by the habit of surviving what others concealed. You accused a senior surgeon of altering a medication record. He administered the wrong drug and ordered me to change the chart. The patient survived because I refused to obey him, and you lost your position because the hospital preferred an obedient lie to an inconvenient truth. Ji-hoon leaned back. You sound proud of being difficult. I am proud that my patient survived. I am not your patient. Then you do not need a rehabilitation nurse. His eyes narrowed. Kemi opened the tablet instead. 2 weeks ago, you injured your right shoulder during an independent transfer. The scan shows tendon damage. If you continue compensating the way you are, you could lose safe transferability before the end of the month. I read the report. Then you understand why I need to assess your shoulder strength, transfer routine, pain pattern, and chair positioning. I understand why Hae-rin forced another stranger into my home. You can dislike me after the assessment. I dislike you now. That saves time. You need to leave. We have not begun. We have finished. Kemi checked the clock. 9 minutes. Is that a record? Ms. Adebayo, I heard you. You are fired. Kemi closed her medical case and stood. At the door, she looked back once. Ji-hoon had already turned toward the rain, dismissing her as completely as though she had never entered. Kemi almost obeyed him. Then she heard the cough behind the wall. It was faint, followed by a thin scrape behind the bookcase to Ji-hoon's left. Kemi stopped. Ji-hoon's head turned sharply. You were leaving. Who else is in this room? No one. The cough came again, rougher this time. Kemi moved toward the shelves. Ji-hoon propelled his chair between her and the wall with surprising speed. Do not touch anything. Someone is struggling to breathe. You heard the pipes. I spent 9 years in trauma wards. Pipes do not wheeze. His voice dropped. Leave this house now. Kemi studied him. For the first time, the anger in his face did not look like contempt. It looked like fear. Another cough tore through the hidden space. Kemi pulled out her phone. If you do not open that room, I will call emergency services and bring an ambulance through your gates. Ji-hoon's eyes hardened. You would expose someone you have not even seen? I would rather expose a secret than let a person suffocate behind it. The scrape became frantic. Ji-hoon stared at her for one long second. Then he reached beneath the desk and pressed a concealed switch. The center bookcase shifted inward. A corridor opened into a concealed residential suite with a bedroom, an accessible bathroom, a sitting area, a therapy corner, and a secured garden window. Medical equipment stood beside the bed. A young Korean woman lay curled beneath a blanket, one hand pressed to her chest. Her lips were turning blue. Kemi dropped beside her. Can she understand English? Some. What is her name? Silence. I cannot treat a secret. What is her name? Yu Min-so. Min-so's breathing whistled through a tightening airway. Kemi checked her pulse and reached for the emergency kit beside the bed. The inhaler inside was empty. Where is the replacement? Top drawer. It was not there. Kemi opened the general emergency cabinet near the bathroom. Inside was a sealed bronchodilator labeled with Min-so's full name, prescribed dose, and emergency authorization signed by her former respiratory specialist. Who checks this suite? Tae-ho and Hye-rin. Anyone else? No. Kemi verified the order, prepared the medication, and fitted the nebulizer mask. Min-so fought it at first. Ji-hoon moved beside the bed and spoke to her in Korean, low and steady, her frightened eyes fixed on him, her fingers closed around his sleeve. He did not command her to calm down. He simply stayed where she could see him. Within minutes, the tightness in Min-so's breathing began to ease. Kemi checked her oxygen level and adjusted the mask. Only when color returned to the young woman's face did Kemi allow herself to breathe normally. Ji-hoon pulled the blanket higher over Min-so's shoulder. Then he turned to Kemi. You will not repeat what you saw. You hid a medically vulnerable woman inside a concealed suite with missing emergency supplies. She has not lived here for 6 years. Her latest safe house was compromised 2 months ago. This was supposed to be temporary. The inhaler, replaced 3 days ago. Then someone removed it. I know. A knock sounded from the study. Sir? Tae-ho's voice carried through the locked door. Is everything secure? Ji-hoon closed the concealed entrance before allowing him inside. Kemi Adebayo will remain tonight, he said. Tae-ho glanced at her packed case. I was informed she had been dismissed. She was. Kemi folded her arms. Apparently I am difficult to remove. Ji-hoon's eyes returned to hers. You are not staying because I trust you. I would be worried if you trusted people after 9 minutes. You are staying because you have seen something you cannot leave with. That sounds dangerously close to imprisonment. It is protection. Kemi gave him a tired look. Men with locked doors love that word. Before dawn, Kemi checked every item in Min-so's suite. 2 medications were missing. The oxygen cabinet seal had been replaced. A camera no larger than a shirt button was hidden beneath a shelf. Ji-hoon stared at the device in her palm. That was not there yesterday. Someone entered after the room was checked. Impossible. That word usually means the wrong person controls the keys. Tae-ho reviewed the logs. No entry appeared. Hye-rin arrived before breakfast. She listened as Kemi explained what she found, then called a private technician to sweep the suite. When Ji-hoon objected to her issuing instructions inside his home, Tae-ho quietly explained that after the ambush, Ji-hoon had granted Hye-rin emergency authority over witness transfers, medical evacuations, and parts of the estate network. The authority remained active whenever Min-so's protection was formally classified as a crisis. Ji-hoon's expression hardened. That power was meant to protect her, and today it will, Hye-rin answered, unless you would rather leave a hidden camera inside her bedroom. She replaced the missing supplies in Kemi's presence, sealed the cabinet, and explained why Min-so could not enter a public hospital. Chief Prosecutor Chae Dong-wook had spent 6 years searching for her. Min-so had been a junior evidence clerk in Chae's office. She discovered that he sold protected witnesses' identities to criminal families, then prosecuted the violence he created. She copied financial records and part of a conversation. Her brother, one of Ji-hoon's men, begged him to move her. Chae's ambush reached them on a mountain road, killing Min-so's brother and Ji-hoon's driver. Ji-hoon survived with a spinal injury. Min-so survived with damaged memory and speech. Chae blamed a rival family and buried the evidence. Ji-hoon moved Min-so through 4 safe homes over 6 years. Each time Chae came close, she was relocated. 2 months earlier, the latest safe house had been compromised, so Ji-hoon brought her to the estate, while Hye-rin secured an independent legal channel. That channel would open in 18 days. A special counsel outside Chae's network would receive Min-so's statement and the original financial files. Once authenticated, Chae could no longer bury them inside his own office. Until then, no one could know where she was. Kemi looked toward the concealed door. And the previous caregivers? Ji-hoon answered. I fired them before they discovered her. All of them? His silence told her no. The 6th caregiver was Jang So-yeon. So-yeon discovered Min-so during a night terror and promised to keep the secret. 2 days later, she told Ji-hoon someone had searched her bag. The following morning, she vanished on her way to a pharmacy. Police found her car beside the river. They found no body. Chae's office opened an investigation suggesting Ji-hoon had threatened her. The case quietly disappeared, but the story remained online. A young nurse, a violent mafia boss, and a private floor no outsider could enter. After So-yeon, Ji-hoon dismissed every caregiver before she could become another useful victim. Kemi finally understood why he fired everyone. No one had asked whether he sent them away because keeping them might kill them. Kemi agreed to remain until Min-so's transfer. She set 3 conditions. She controlled medical decisions within her license. Min-so's supplies would be checked only by Kemi and Tae-ho together, and no one would lock Kemi inside the residence again. Ji-hoon accepted the first 2. The third depends on whether you attempt to leave with my secret. Kemi leaned across his desk. Then the third is not negotiable. They stared at one another. Ji-hoon looked away first. Fine. Over the next 6 days, Kemi learned the routines of the house, while Che quietly studied hers. 12 days remained. In an office across Seoul, the final image transmitted by the camera inside Min-so's suite froze on Che Dong-wook's screen. It showed Kemi kneeling beside the bed moments before she discovered the device. The man beside his desk asked, "Should we remove her?" Che enlarged the image. No. She discovered the suite. A foreign nurse inside Ji-hoon's house is not a problem. She is a future witness the public can be taught to misunderstand. He closed the image. Let her stay. If she becomes useful, we rescue her. If she becomes dangerous, we make her disappear like the last one. Over the next 5 days, the house settled into a rhythm neither Kemi nor Ji-hoon expected. Each morning, she worked with him on shoulder stability, safe transfers, pressure relief, and the pain he hid behind silence. You treat every limit like an insult, she told him. Limits become permanent when people respect them too quickly. And injuries worsen when proud men pretend their joints are steel. 10 more. With Min-so, Kemi moved slowly. The young woman often lost words when frightened, so they used colored cards. Red for danger, blue for memory, yellow for time. Kemi began taking her into the enclosed greenhouse. On the 3rd visit, a black sedan stopped beyond the outer gate. Something silver hung from its mirror. Min-so dropped the blue card, grabbed red, and pointed. By the time Tae-ho's team reached the road, the sedan was gone, and the gate camera had been turned away. 2 of Ji-hoon's commanders arrived before sunset. They wanted permission to seize men from a rival family whose vehicles resembled the sedan. If they are watching this house, we answer before they move, Commander Ryu said. With what proof? Ji-hoon asked. With the proof that someone entered your walls. That proves my security failed. It does not identify an enemy. Commander Ryu looked at Ji-hoon's chair, then quickly away. A softer answer will be mistaken for weakness. Ji-hoon rolled closer, until the commander had no choice but to meet his eyes. Starting a war because someone wants me angry is weakness. We move when we know whose blood we are spilling. The room fell silent. Kemi watched the men bow and leave. Until then, she had seen Ji-hoon as a guarded patient, protecting one witness. Now she saw why dangerous men obeyed him. He was not feared because he was quickest to violence. He was feared because rage did not choose his targets for him. Afterward, she confronted him in the study. I need something understood. Ji-hoon looked up from a security report. I will protect life inside this house. I will treat injuries. I will not hide violence. Prepare your men to return to an attack, or let my profession become a shield for criminal decisions. You believe I would ask? I believe powerful men become accustomed to asking people for things they should refuse. His gaze held hers. And if I cross that line, I walk away and tell the truth. A long silence passed. Then Ji-hoon nodded. Agreed. The next morning, Tae-ho added a barrier beyond the greenhouse, corrected the camera, and placed an unseen guard outside. The greenhouse remained open. Ji-hoon visited Min-so nightly. He brought books, read when she could not sleep, and stayed through memories of the fire. One evening, Kemi found him in the kitchen fighting an orange peel. You are losing a war with fruit. I was interrupted. The orange attacked first? Min-so laughed. Ji-hoon's face shifted before he could hide it. A brief smile touched his mouth. Kemi did not tease him. That restraint mattered more than he knew. She changed his care in other ways. No one touched his chair without permission. Medication was checked with him. Frequently used objects were moved within reach. Decisions about his body were made with him, not around him. One night, Kemi heard him struggling with pain behind his bedroom door. "Go away," he said when she knocked. "I am outside. I did not ask you to be. I know." She remained in the corridor until he opened the door himself. He let her help only after she explained each step. It was the first time he invited a caregiver inside. Hae-rin continued visiting with transfer documents, updates, and coffee too sweet for Kemi. During one visit, her son's treatment center called. "He has a degenerative kidney condition," Hae-rin explained afterward. "The cost is difficult. The waiting is worse. I am sorry." Hae-rin looked toward Ji-hoon and Min-so in the greenhouse. When someone you love is sick, fear changes the meaning of time. Every delay begins to feel like a decision you may regret. Hae-rin warned that Che was asking about the foreign nurse inside the estate, and that reporters had revived So-yeon's disappearance. "He will turn every locked door into a prison," she said, handing Kemi a small recorder. "Use this, if anyone edits what happens here." Kemi left it unopened in her drawer. 7 days remained. That night, the drawer was searched. The recorder was gone. On Kemi's pillow lay a photograph of So-yeon's abandoned car with 5 words across the back: "You can still leave alive." Ji-hoon found Kemi, moving emergency supplies into a smaller case. So the message worked. "I am moving these into Min-so's suite. You leave tonight. No. I will not allow you to become another missing woman. Then help me find who took her. Leaving alone would make me convenient." He stared at the photograph. "My mother said courage and stubbornness were cousins. She sounds intelligent. She would have found you exhausting. But correct? Frequently." That night, Ji-hoon moved Kemi into his secured wing, showed her every exit, and gave her control of the lock from inside. Near midnight, she found him on the balcony above Seoul. "Do you regret saving Min-so?" she asked. "No. Even after everything? My chair is not a punishment for doing the right thing." He looked toward the city. "I regret believing I could protect everyone alone. Her brother died because I changed the route and trusted no one. So-yeon disappeared because I believed secrecy was safer than trust. And now? Now I have a rehabilitation nurse who ignores every instruction. You keep moving me closer for someone who fired me." His voice softened. "When I cannot see you, I imagine every way this house might take you from me." Kemi placed her hand over his on the wheel. Neither called the moment love. But both knew it was no longer only care. The next morning, Che revived Kemi's old hospital scandal online. Articles described her as an unstable, dismissed nurse who accepted a suspicious private contract. Strangers debated whether Ji-hoon had bought her silence or imprisoned her. For several minutes, Kemi stood beside a packed suitcase, remembering the surgeon who altered a record and the administrators who destroyed her career for refusing to help him. Leaving would be safer. It would also allow another powerful man to explain her absence. Kemi carried the suitcase into Ji-hoon's study, opened it, and removed everything. "What are you doing?" he asked, refusing to let Che write the same lie twice. "I can remove the articles. That would prove his point." "Then tell me what you need." The question stopped her. "A camera. My own statement, stored somewhere Che cannot erase." Tae-ho used the analog system to record Kemi explaining why she remained, what she had witnessed, and that Ji-hoon had repeatedly offered her a way out. The time-stamped file went to 3 independent servers and the special counsel. A compromised hallway camera captured Kemi entering the control room, but it could not see the recording or its destinations. Che learned only that she had used the old system. 3 more days passed without another visible threat. That silence only made Ji-hoon more certain that someone was preparing to move. 3 days remained. Hae-rin arrived with the final transfer plan. Min-so would leave during a memorial dinner at the estate, when allied underworld leaders, official vehicles, and competing security teams created enough movement to conceal one departure. The dinner was also Ji-hoon's annual reaffirmation of peace between the groups that had nearly gone to war after his ambush. Che knew that if Ji-hoon died during it, every family present would blame another. Hae-rin displayed the route on her tablet. The passage beneath the east garden was marked as the primary exit. Min-so entered the study, while Hae-rin spoke. Her gaze settled on the silver crane pin. The blue card slipped from her hand. Then she reached for red. "Office," Min-so whispered. Hae-rin touched the crane. She has seen it before. I wore it during the early interviews. Ji-hoon accepted the explanation. Kemi remembered the silver object hanging inside the sedan beyond the greenhouse. Later, alone in Min-so's suite, she placed photographs of Hae-rin, Tae-ho, Chae, and Ji-hoon on the table. Min-so covered Hae-rin's face with the red card. Was she in Chae's office? A slow nod. Did she help him? Min-so struggled to write. So-yeon called her. Kemi searched the old legal files Hae-rin had supplied. One page contained a transcript of So-yeon's final voicemail. The transcript ended after 12 seconds. The original audio lasted 31. Kemi did not know how to recover the missing portion, but she noticed the discrepancy and took the file to Tae-ho. His security analyst restored part of the damaged section. So-yeon's frightened voice filled the control room. Attorney Seo, I found the woman. I did not tell anyone else. Please do not send the prosecutor. Please. The recording ended. Tae-ho also traced the missing recorder from Kemi's room. Its serial number belonged to a covert transmission device, not an ordinary recorder. It had been sending audio to an external server from the moment Hae-rin placed it in Kemi's hand. The camera in Min-so's suite and the altered greenhouse camera had transmitted to the same address. Traffic footage recovered from a nearby road revealed that the black sedan outside the greenhouse belonged to a private investigator employed by Hae-rin's law office. The silver shape hanging from its mirror was a smaller version of the crane worn on her lapel. Hae-rin had not merely offered protection. She had been listening. Ji-hoon ordered her access removed. The system rejected his command. Her emergency authority remained active because Min-so's legal transfer was classified as an ongoing crisis. Hae-rin had used the power Ji-hoon trusted her with to preserve her own entry into the estate network. She called before they could sever the external line. Ji-hoon answered on speaker. Tae-ho silently activated the independent recorder. Every word Hae-rin said began copying directly to the satellite server. You should have taken the route I offered, Hae-rin said. Kemi stared at the transfer map. You gave Chae the passage. I gave him a chance to end this without a massacre. You gave him Min-so, Ji-hoon said. Hae-rin's voice broke. Chae discovered that I moved client money to pay for my son's treatment. He threatened to charge me with organized financial crimes and fabricate evidence that I endangered my child. He said I would lose custody before the first hearing. You could have told me, Ji-hoon said, and let you threaten the most powerful prosecutor in the country while Min-so was hidden? At first I gave him schedules, then So-yeon called me. I thought if I delivered her, he would stop. Did he? Kemi asked. Silence. No. There is always a way back before you sell another person's life, Kemi said. Hae-rin began crying. I chose you because I thought you would keep them alive longer than the others. That is the only honest thing I can give you. You chose me because a foreign nurse with a damaged career would be easy to discredit. Hae-rin did not deny it. Chae saw you enter the analog control room. He suspects you recorded something, but he does not know what or where it went. Leave before midnight, Kemi. It is the last kindness I have left. The call ended. Ji-hoon sat very still. For 6 years, Hae-rin had translated danger into legal language. She had stood between him and Chae's public lies. She had selected Kemi, protected Min-so's documents, and held emergency authority over the estate. Now every rescue she offered had to be examined as a trap. Kemi watched betrayal move across Ji-hoon's face without becoming tears. He looked older. Say something, she told him. I trusted her. I know. I made her Min-so's legal guardian if I died. Kemi moved beside him. Ji-hoon stared at the dead phone. She did not merely know where the walls were. I gave her the keys. Kemi knelt so he would not have to look up at her. Then we changed the doors. There was no easy promise she could give him. Hae-rin's betrayal did not prove everyone betrayed. It also did not become less painful because Kemi stayed. So she offered the only honest thing. You do not have to trust the entire world tonight. Trust the next decision, then the one after that. Ji-hoon placed his forehead against hers. Tae-ho's team changed the passage locks, swept both entrances, and confirmed the route clear. The digital plans showed no other access. None of them knew that an old physical service hatch, sealed before Ji-hoon inherited the estate, still opened into the tunnel from beneath the memorial courtyard. Hae-rin had found it in archived construction files and given its location to Chae. For the next 2 days, Taeho's team rebuilt the estate's security while Chae remained silent. On the 18th night, only hours remained before the special counsel's arrival. Across Seoul, Chae reviewed a rescue announcement prepared earlier that day. The warrant beneath it was still unsigned. The anonymous complaint claiming that Kemi was being held against her will had not yet been submitted. On another screen, locations from men wearing police armor moved toward the Kwon estate. None of their identification numbers existed in the national system. His assistant asked, "Should we wait for the judge?" "The special counsel arrives tonight," Chae said. Min-so's drive contains the original encryption key. Without it, the financial records remain useless. With it, they destroy everyone who paid me. You can send the tactical unit. I cannot trust hired men with the only key capable of opening those files. He closed the rescue announcement. I will retrieve it myself. Within an hour, the anonymous complaint was submitted. Minutes later, Chae appeared on every television channel. He declared an immediate threat to a missing foreign medical worker. The language allowed officers to enter under emergency rescue authority, while he pressured a judge for a formal warrant. He linked Kemi to So-yeon's disappearance and described Ji-hoon as a violent criminal using his disability to manipulate public sympathy. But Chae had made one mistake. Taeho's analyst recovered file metadata, showing that the rescue announcement had been written 9 hours before the anonymous abduction complaint was submitted. The same complaint Chae publicly claimed had triggered the operation. Ji-hoon ordered Taeho to prepare a car for Kemi. She refused to enter it. "This is not the first night," he said. "You cannot lock a door and solve this with medical training. And you cannot protect me by delivering me into the story Chae has already written. If you stay, he will say I prevented you from leaving. My statement proves otherwise. He will call it coerced." Then the special counsel receives Hae-rin's admission, So-yeon's voicemail, the transmission logs, and proof that Chae wrote the rescue before anyone reported me missing. "He still has armed men. So do you. Mine will not shoot through you." Kemi's frustration rose. "Then what do you suggest? That you go somewhere he cannot find you? Without Min-so?" "Yes." "Without you?" His silence answered. "You keep making plans that require everyone else to lose you. Kemi, I cannot command Chae's men not to shoot you. No. You can only decide whether I face them knowing the truth." He moved closer. "I spent 6 years watching what happened to people who stayed near me, and I spent 18 days learning that you mistake loneliness for protection." The words wounded him. Kemi lowered her voice. "I will not promise to obey you because you are afraid, but I will promise not to waste the life you are trying to save." Ji-hoon reached for her hand. "If this were another life, I would have met you somewhere ordinary. You would still have fired me, probably, and I would still have refused to leave." A sound escaped him. Almost a laugh, almost grief. He lifted her hand to his forehead. Then the estate alarms began. Chae had not waited for the signed warrant. Black vehicles crossed the gates behind legitimate officers who believed a foreign nurse faced immediate danger. Men in unmarked police armor followed through the service entrance. The eastern lights went dark. The private elevator stopped. Gunfire broke out near the memorial courtyard as Ji-hoon's commanders discovered the false officers. Kemi moved beside Ji-hoon as he navigated through the study, while smoke crept beneath the corridor door. One team demanded surrender. Another moved silently toward the private wing. The tunnel monitor showed the East Garden exit clear. Ji-hoon removed the brass key from behind the wardrobe. That was when the story caught up with the cold open. He told Kemi to take Min-so. He told her not to return. When the final words left him, a tear gathered in his eye because he believed he was saying goodbye to the happiness he had only just found. Kemi did not take the key. She refreshed the exterior camera. 3 armed men had just reached the far exit through the forgotten service hatch beneath the memorial courtyard. "They found another entrance," she said. Ji-hoon closed his eyes once. Kemi knelt before him. "The first night, you ordered me out because you did not trust me. Tonight, you are ordering me out because you think losing you will hurt less if I survive. They will breach the door in minutes. You are wrong both times." She placed the key back in his palm. "We leave together, or we find another way." Min Seo emerged, holding the red card and a small flash drive. She pointed toward the ceiling. Kemi remembered the analog control room. Ji-hoon called Tae-ho through the emergency line. "Open the satellite channel. Send everything." The upload began while Che moved through the house. Min Seo entered the encryption phrase, and the financial records opened. Shell company payments linked Che to the sale of protected identities. Tae-ho forwarded So-yeon's unedited voicemail and Hye-rin's recorded admission. His analyst attached the transmission logs, connecting Kemi's recorder and the hidden cameras to Che's server. The broadcast metadata proved Che had written the rescue announcement before anyone officially reported Kemi missing. Live tracking identified every man wearing false police armor. The evidence reached the special counsel and independent journalists before the bedroom door burst inward. Che entered behind two armed men. His gaze moved from Ji-hoon to the flash drive in Min Seo's hand. "The missing nurse," he said to Kemi. "You have made my story convincing." Kemi stood between him and Min Seo. "You prepared that story before your complaint existed," Ji-hoon said. Che's expression shifted. "The files are encrypted." "Not anymore," Kemi answered. Che ordered his men forward. Tae-ho's voice sounded through Ji-hoon's earpiece. The room was broadcasting live. Che stepped toward Min Seo. "You are a damaged clerk, standing beside a criminal. No court will trust you." "The court does not need only her," Kemi said. "It has the transactions, server logs, Hye-rin's admission, and your illegal operation." Che reached for the drive. Kemi blocked him. His hand struck her across the face. Ji-hoon drove his chair forward, trapping Che's leg between the powered frame and the bed. Then he struck the security control beneath his armrest. A steel fire door dropped between Che's men and the corridor reinforcements. Tae-ho's team entered through the service door and disarmed the first man. The second tried to pull Che free. Ji-hoon increased the pressure until Che released the drive. Min Seo spoke. She forced the words out slowly in Korean. "You told her, 'Remove my name.'" She swallowed and continued. "You said dead witnesses make honest prosecutors." Che understood that the documents had escaped him. His men had been identified. The room was broadcasting beyond his control. Still, arrogance demanded the final word. "You should have died on that road." Legitimate officers at the gate began lowering their weapons as the files appeared on their secured devices. The raid collapsed from the inside. Before sunrise, Che was in the custody of the special counsel. Hye-rin surrendered 2 hours later and revealed where So-yeon had been held under a false identity. So-yeon was alive. Investigators later confirmed that Hye-rin had authorized the camera inside Min Seo's suite and given a private investigator from her law office access to Kemi's wing. The investigator searched Kemi's room, removed the transmitting recorder, left So-yeon's photograph on her pillow, and redirected the greenhouse camera while his sedan waited beyond the gates. Hye-rin had also supplied Che with the estate's emergency procedures. Without her knowledge, one of Che's operatives used that compromised access to empty Min Seo's inhaler, remove the replacement medication, and tamper with the oxygen cabinet. He expected Ji-hoon to summon an ambulance, exposing Min Seo and forcing her beyond the estate's protection. Kemi's refusal to leave and the authorized medication she found inside the general emergency cabinet destroyed that plan. None of this absolved Hye-rin. She had not ordered Min Seo's medical emergency, but she had opened the doors Che used to create it. Hye-rin testified against him, but cooperation did not erase her choices. Kemi visited her once before the hearing. "I did care about Ji-hoon," Hye-rin said. "That makes your betrayal worse. I was afraid of losing my son. You were allowed to be afraid. You were not allowed to trade other people for him." Kemi left without offering forgiveness that had not been earned. Min Seo gave testimony in short sessions and later moved to a protected home near the coast. So-yeon reunited with her mother. The concealed suite was opened and allowed to become part of the house again. Ji-hoon sat inside it on the final morning. "I thought keeping every door closed was the same as keeping her safe." "You kept her alive long enough to choose what happened next," Kemi replied. "That matters. And the people I pushed away? That matters too. I sent you away in my mind 100 times. Every time, I called it protection. And every time, you were deciding for me. Yes. The admission carried more weight than a perfect apology. Kemi ended her contract that afternoon and arranged an independent rehabilitation team selected by Ji-hoon. "You are leaving," he said. "I am ending my role as your nurse. I need to know whether what exists between us survives outside locked rooms, emergencies, and employment." When? Tomorrow. Every instinct in him wanted to offer money, protection, or another contract. He offered none. "May I contact you?" Kemi smiled faintly. "You may ask." She left without being escorted, dismissed, or pursued. Ji-hoon watched her car pass through the gates and did not order it stopped. For the first time, letting someone leave was not the same as losing them. 3 weeks later, Kemi finished an evening shift and found Ji-hoon waiting outside the rehabilitation center. There were no black vehicles blocking the street. Taeho remained across the road, far enough away to give them privacy. Rain gathered on Ji-hoon's charcoal coat. "You could have waited inside," Kemi said. "I was not certain I would be welcome. That has never stopped you before." "It has begun to." For a moment, neither knew how to speak without a crisis deciding the subject. Ji-hoon broke the silence. "The first night you refused to leave, I thought you were disobedient. I was. Later, I thought you were reckless. I was not." His mouth almost curved. "I understand now. You stayed because you saw my life as something worth protecting, even when I had reduced it to something that only needed defending." Kemi's eyes softened. "I am not asking you to return to the residence. I am not asking you to care for me. I am asking whether you would have dinner with me. As your former nurse? As the woman I have missed every day since she walked through my gates." Kemi considered him seriously. "One dinner. One. No hidden witnesses behind the restaurant walls. I can promise none that I know about. No armed prosecutors. That may be outside my control. And you are not allowed to fire me before dessert." Ji-hoon laughed. The sound was low, surprised, unguarded. Kemi remembered the man in the barricaded bedroom, holding out a key with tears in his eyes, because he believed happiness had returned only to be taken from him. Now he held out his hand only to ask whether she would walk beside him. Kemi placed her hand in his. Their first dinner was held in a small, accessible restaurant beside the river. Ji-hoon asked where she wanted to sit instead of deciding for her. Halfway through dinner, the waiter placed oranges on the table. Kemi raised an eyebrow. "This restaurant has poor judgment," Ji-hoon said. "You survived, Che, but citrus still frightens you." "I was never frightened. You lost badly. I was distracted by 2 unreasonable women." Kemi peeled an orange and placed half on his plate. Ji-hoon accepted it. "Thank you." Nothing between them had been magically repaired. Ji-hoon still questioned doors before opening them. Kemi still challenged him whenever caution became control. Trust arrived through choices repeated each day. After dinner, they stopped beside the river. "I fell in love with you before I understood that loving someone does not give me authority over their choices," Ji-hoon said. Kemi rested her hand over his. "I began falling for you when you opened the hidden door, even though trusting me terrified you. Does that mean there will be a second dinner?" "There may be several, provided your behavior improves." His smile stayed. In the weeks that followed, Ji-hoon kept attending rehabilitation without using Kemi's absence as an excuse to retreat. He selected his team, reviewed treatment plans, and learned that accepting assistance did not require surrendering authority. Kemi watched those changes before trusting them. She also kept boundaries. She never attended criminal meetings, never treated violence as romance, and never allowed Ji-hoon's affection to silence questions. When his commanders visited during dinner, he introduced her by name instead of as the woman who had saved him. That mattered. So did the evening he asked whether she wanted security on her journey home, and accepted her answer when she said no. Their relationship grew through choices, an open door, a disagreement, a call returned without suspicion. Neither mistook progress for perfection. What mattered was that they were building something fear, employment, and locked rooms could no longer own. The right kind of care had never been about making Ji-hoon stand. It was about helping him believe he could open a door without losing everything beyond it. Sometimes, the person who saves you is not the one who carries you out of the fire. Sometimes it is the one who refuses to leave when the flames return. Tell me in the comments, would you have trusted Ji-hoon after he tried to send Kemi away? Or would his fear have cost him the relationship? And subscribe for more emotional Korean mafia romance stories, where love must survive power, betrayal, and impossible choices.